Morning, friends, and welcome to another edition of the Artist Spotlight Show. And not to disappoint in any way, shape, or form, we have got an amazing author with us. Her name is Allison McBain. She's written over 200 books, and she's a big fan of AI. We're going to find out about that. I mean, of all the people we've interviewed, not many people are fans of AI. So we're going to get inside her brain. Why is she such a big fan of AI? We're going to find that out. And we got some fun questions we'll ask her. We'll find out about her journey, how she started, where she's at now, all that and much more. It's come up next on the Artist Spotlight Show. It's being brought to you by Music Dreams USA Radio. We are a station that plays everything for everyone. Table and Mike Productions and Eagle Street Corporation up in Nashville, North Carolina. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring the Artist Spotlight Show. And OTW Hauling up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That's where we're coming to you from right now, is our studios up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. OTW. If you need some hauling or you need some stuff to be removed, make sure you check those guys out. OTW Hauling. They're up on check out the Facebook page and get their contact information. Let them know you heard the ad right here on the Outer Spotlight Show. And without any further ado delay, let's introduce our special guest. She's the one, the only, Allison McBain. How are you, Allison? You doing okay today?
I'm great. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you as well. And thank you so much for your time this morning. I know you're super busy and everything. And let's start off the show. And if you can maybe share with our listeners are watching now, we'll be watching later. How did your journey begin? And what was some of the best advice you've gotten?
Um, so I started out writing when I was 4 years old. I've always wanted to be a writer. This is something that I've always loved to do. I used to tell stories when I was a kid, and much to my parents' dismay. um, but now I actually get paid to tell stories, which is pretty fun. Yeah, so it's fun to just delve into the worlds of imagination and just see where it takes me.
So, as you mentioned, you began writing at 4 years old. What was the story about, and when did as you mentioned, when did writing become more than just a childhood interest for you? At one point, did you realize, you know what, I can make this a career?
Well, when I was 4, you know how kids always say, "Oh, I want to grow up to be an astronaut." I always wanted to be a writer. So I was like, "I'm going to grow up and be a writer." And along the way, life sort of took me in a different direction for a while. I went to college, I got, a regular job to pay the bills. But in the back of my head was still that thought. I still was writing. I was writing poems, I was writing short stories. And it took me until my 30s and a bit of life experience before I finally completed my first book and thought, you know what, this isn't bad. I guess I'm going to try to get this published. And I haven't really looked back since then.
I got a question I want to ask you. You studied African history and also classical literature. I was actually, as we were putting the questions together before you came live on the air, that's one of the things that's been very fascinating for me. How did you get into that, and how did you create your characters through those studies?
Well, I've always been a student of history. I love history because it is literally, I mean, it's in the name. It's stories and it's actual true stories, that have happened to people over, millennia. So I always found that fascinating. That was like my original inspiration, I would say, reading about history. And then in college, I ran into this very wonderful professor who just completely inspired me. And he taught African history and African American history. And I was like, you know what? I'm sold. I would love to study this. Um, and it really helped me gain from a diversity perspective. I'm biracial. I have always been interested in other cultures, but it really helped give me a worldview that really opened up the horizons, I think, so that I'm not just writing about, someone in a small town, although I do write about small town Americana, small town, Canadian stories. But I love to take things international. I like to go back in history. I like to find a good story because a good story is a good story. It doesn't matter where it's set, what culture you know research to make that story come to life. We're all people, you know. So I love exploring different cultures and finding how I can incorporate them into my writing.
We're talking about diversity, right? And as you mentioned, important part of your life in writing as well, as you just mentioned. But here's my question: why is authentic representation so important in literature?
I think it's because you can do a lot of reading about other cultures, but once you live it, once you are part of that lived experience, you can bring that authenticity you were talking about to the story itself. There are things that if you're in a certain culture, if you're part of that culture, you know better than someone who is coming from the outside. You will know the intricacies of it. So you can really capture it and convey it to a reader. Um, it's much harder from the outside. I'm not saying it's impossible. I've definitely explored cultures where I haven't personally been a part of or lived, but it is much, much harder to capture that authentic voice. And it takes much more, you know, like you'd go to a sensitivity reader, you would go to people who are from that culture to read over your manuscript and make sure that you capture it perfectly. So there are many more steps to give it that same type of authenticity. Um, so I think it's important because, you know, where we are living in this exact moment, 100 years from now, people will see that as something completely foreign to them. You know, go back 100 years now, and you'll be like, "Wow, they did this in the 1920s. That's amazing. That's so silly." You know, like so, like capturing that, I think, is very important, especially for future generations of readers, because it's fascinating where we are right now, and people later on will say, "No, that didn't really happen," but it did.
Another thing I love about you, you write about many different topics. Let me give you an example. So, you write about fantasy, science fiction, romance, horror, historical fiction, and several other genres as well. So, of all those together, which one or two give you the most challenges, and why?
Well, I think it's the ones that I am less, you know, that I haven't done as much reading in, haven't done, um, uh, you know, as much research in. So those can be really challenging. Like, for example, for a project that I did recently, I wanted to write in every genre, that, especially ones that I hadn't tackled before, because I like the challenge. So one of the hardest for me was Western. I would say, because Western has some problematic roots in colonization, colonialism, you know. So to me, it was a really, really tough genre to tackle and handle it my way. You know, make sure that it doesn't have all of those problems that you know other westerns, especially earlier westerns, have. So that was a huge challenge for me. Also, literary fiction is quite difficult. I read a lot of it, but it is hard because it has so many layers to it. Like, you know, if you write an adventure story, it's you know it's fun. It might have a couple layers, but for the most part, it's about the adventure. But literary stories are about delving into the human psyche and making sure that comes off as both interesting and also something that will make you think afterwards is tough, making all those layers.
Let's talk about Beauty and the Beast. I that's another question I wanted to ask you, right? Here's my question: why did you place Beauty in the role of the Beast?
Okay, so I don't know. Do you like fairy tales at
I
all?
do. That's why
Okay.
I was so excited to interview you. It's like, I mean, I love. I mean, when I did my homework on you, right, and
Yeah.
I saw Beauty and the Beast, I'm like, I put down, okay, that's a question I have to ask her.
So what is your favorite fairy tale? Like growing up, what was your favorite fairy tale?
Like Superman, Batman, like a lot of the action ones, you know.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
I like I like a lot of the action ones, to be honest with you.
Definitely. Well, Beauty and the Beast was my favorite growing up. I always loved the idea. of this magical castle hidden, and of course the main character is a reader. She loves books. So I wanted to like I always knew in the back of my head that I wanted to write sort of an expanded story and make it real because like fairy tales are fun, but they're very surface level, as I was talking about before. So like you don't really get to delve below the surface. You don't get to see the humanity in the characters because it's all very like, oh, la di da, they lived happily ever after, right? So I always knew I wanted to write something that was grittier, that was like more realistic. Um, and it just came to me that I wanted to switch up the genders because the story is always told the beast is a man, and it ties into the whole like there's this gruff male figure who's like problematic and scary, and it's like, well, if we flip it, is it going to have the same impact? Will it have the same resonance if it's a woman who is all of a sudden this strong, powerful figure, like physically strong? Um, does it play off the same way? And I found no, it definitely doesn't. A woman would do something else with that strength, with that power that she gets, even if it's part of a curse. So I had so much fun, like reimagining where this would take just because of a different gendered um, experience.
All right, from that character, let's go to another one. Which one do you think I'm going to talk about now?
I don't know. There's so many.
I told you I was going to make you laugh before on the air. So those of you watching, right? We were backstage, right? And she was like all straight faced and everything. I said, you know what? I'm going to make her laugh on this show, and it just happened. All right, so here we go. We're switching gears. All right, I want to find out about the reader's takeaway from Princess Mirabella's journey in the Rose Queen. Tell me about that.
Oh yeah, the Rose Queen is my Beauty and the Beast retelling. So Princess Mirabella is the princess who becomes the Beast and has to go on this very grand adventure figuring out how she can break the curse because she's under a time limit of either breaking the curse or dying, literally dying. So yeah, she has a ticking clock over her head, and yeah, where she goes with it is very unique. And while you can see the bones of the fairy tale illuminating the story, I definitely take it in brand new directions.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I just wanted to find out about that because as I mentioned, we have like a lot of, questions from our listeners and so on and so forth. And that was one of from our listeners up in Alberta, Canada. Her name is
Nice.
Rachel. And so, Rachel, thank you for sharing that question and live on the air here at the Outer Spotlight Show, being brought to you by Music Dreams USA Radio Worldwide, uh, and also Biker Bay Barber and Company, and Eagle Street Corporation, and Table and Mic Productions. And a special thank you to Mickey and Creative Edge for supplying our amazing artists here today. Let's continue. All right. So, how do you balance historical research with the freedom to create an alternate version of history?
Um, so I try to take sort of like I did with the fairy tale. I tried to take sort of the bare bones of what the fairy tale was and then put my own spin on it. So history, a lot of times you don't get very specific information about everyday people. And those are the people I love to write about. So you can find a lot of information about the kings, the queens, the ones who are in power, the movers and shakers. I like to tell the underdog story. I like to see the people who are just living their everyday lives like us. Like I'm not a king or queen, like I don't live on the top and run a country, but I still feel like I have a voice. And so I want my characters to have that same voice. I want my characters to be living their everyday lives. And yes, they go on adventures and they can have great impact on the rich and powerful and the people, the movers and shakers. But at the same time, they often come from a more humble background or end up living a more humble life.
All right, let's continue. Let's discuss the author versus AI. I'm really interested in this topic. I know we're going to probably spend a little time on this. So let's open up the conversation with author versus.
Okay, so you mentioned in the intro that I love AI. I actually don't. I am actually very against AI in the creative sphere. So my author versus AI project was to bring attention to the fact that AI was being incorporated into creatives work, into is creeping into writing, into art, into music. And this project that I did, it was back in 2024. So this was, right when AI was sort of hitting the scene and everyone had a lot of questions about it. Like, what is this? How will it influence what I do in the creative world? So essentially, it was to bring attention to it. It was to bring attention to the fact that there's this big looming thing over anyone who does any sort of creative arts. So essentially, what I did to bring attention to it was something that was a marathon. I wrote a book a week for 34 weeks. And it was using no AI at all. It was just using my own creativity, my own endurance, and seeing how far I could take it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. All right. So you are against AI. All
Mhm.
right. Other than what you mentioned, are there any other reasons why you don't like AI? Let me further that question. What about the people who do use AI and it's been a big help to them? Now, I can share some factual information with you what I'm going to do right now. All right. Our radio station uses AI. I can honestly tell you these questions you're hearing today, with the exception of a few listeners, are AI generated. And what we do is we put the author in there, right? And we actually tell AI what we're looking for. Who's Russell K? What kind of questions can we ask Russell? I can honestly tell you that we do like AI. I think it's something that's needed. Um, I don't. I think people. This is just my opinion. I think people are taking the wrong approach on AI. They're thinking AI is taking over everything. They're taking over music. They're taking over authors. No. If you use AI this is just my opinion now. If you use AI in the right way, it can be a benefit to you. I'll carry that one step further. I'm also a media investigator, and I do investigations behind the scene. There's people that reach out to our station. Are having issues with X, Y, and Z. Our station helped you with the investigation. It actually helped us to uncover a suspect that we were looking for. We couldn't find him. Turned over every which way, but at least we couldn't find him. AI actually helped with that investigation. So I respect your approach on it and what you're saying, but I also think that AI is something that can be used. It's something that's here, whether people like it or not. It's here. It's going to happen, and that's just my thought on it. You go ahead and shoot away. I'm going to duck now. Go ahead. I'm ready.
It's okay. Well, there are a number of applications that AI has helped. I agree with you. So AI has done has really cut down the time for medical researchers. And there, as you mentioned, several applications that you've used it for, which are research, investigation. So people have found it useful. I am um, not saying that, AI has not helped in various industries. However, it has a problematic start, because almost every single LLM was created by using stolen authors' works and stolen artists' works. And the authors and artists and musicians were not compensated in any way. And some of what is AI is producing is almost exactly what the artists and authors and musicians have produced. And there's a number of lawsuits currently underway because it's basically taking it whole cloth and regurgitating it and saying this is brand new when the creatives find their work um, thinly disguised, it's taking away from their income. So it does have a very problematic start. Um, Just talking about the environmental impact, it's not great. The way that that they're being, data centers are being built, how they are taking over water, land, and it polluting the environment around it. So it does have a lot of problems that need to be fixed, honestly. So, like, if all of these artists and authors were compensated, then people could move forward from that conversation, because its problematic start is a lot like
Mhm.
colonialism, where people came in, took land, and basically said, "Well, this is the way it is." Now we're here. What are you going to do about it? And that's very problematic, right? So the same thing is happening with AI and creatives. Um, on top of that, I feel like if you ask almost every creative, and I'm speaking just from that perspective, from artists, writers, musicians, etc., not on the scientific or investigative end, if you ask them why they do it, why do you create this artwork? Why do you create this story? They're not going to say, well, because I want to make $1 million. I mean, that might be in the back of their head, but it's because we love what we do. We love creating, we love telling stories, we love showing the human aspect of who we are and who everyone is. Like, there's a universality to what we do by telling our individual stories, and people connect with that. And AI doesn't have that lived experience. AI is basically compiling everyone's story and sort of regurgitating it into sort of a generic whole. So in the creative arts, taking away something that people love to do and AI is basically programmed to do seems like the wrong direction, right? Um, for that aspect of it. So I get that AI is on the scene and people are using it, but it has both, it has ethical problems to it, has moral problems, it has environmental problems, and it's trying to displace people doing what they love to do. You said at the beginning when we were talking that you're living the dream, you love doing what you do. What if there was an AI avatar of you and you weren't involved at all anymore? You'd probably be sort of uh, disappointed that you would not be able to be on this podcast anymore talking to people. So
Oh, that would
similarly,
be a
that's
that'd be
where I object to
yeah,
it.
yeah, I hear you. All right, so let me ask you this: You're the CEO of AI right now. So, is there a happy medium? I appreciate your feedback, and you brought a lot of really interesting points. So, my question is, if you of AI, is there a happy medium? If so, what would that look like?
Um, yeah, I think there is. So there are some smaller AI companies, not the large language models, but I've individually met some CEOs of smaller AI companies that are gathering their data in an ethical way. So, for example, there's an indigenous CEO who built her own AI model to basically preserve her culture's language and cultural artifacts, right? So what one thing that she's doing is she's getting input and people are contributing to it, knowing that it's going into this sort of closed system AI. But that's to preserve it for future generations. So she is gathering data responsibly and creating her program responsibly with the knowledge and input of the people that she is speaking with and gathering information from. So starting out in the right place, I think is very important. And having a set goal, that this is to benefit people rather than to benefit corporations. Like, you wouldn't look at these CEOs of these large LLMs and say, "Oh, they're doing it to benefit humanity." No, they're very rich. They're doing it. They're taking, small people's, um, you know, authors, artists, etc. They're taking our work for free and they're making lots of money off of it. So that's not to benefit people, really. That's to benefit themselves. So approaching it from a different perspective would be, I think, the first step to creating ethical AI.
I want to ask you about the payment thing. I totally agree with that part where, it's your idea, it's your work, it's your blood, sweat, and tears that you put into it, right? You have a right to get paid for that. You almost could compare an author to an artist where they're actually suffering the same thing. So I can understand why people are not happy with AI because you're putting the work out. It's your idea, and it almost feels like they're stealing your idea and trying to make money off of something you did, and you get nothing in return. How can that be fixed? I agree. I mean, that's definitely a major issue where, if it's your idea, your work, you have a right to get paid for that. Any ideas how that can happen?
Well, there's actually legal precedent for it. And do you remember Napster, the music
I do.
streaming?
I do. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they tried to do the same thing. And granted, this was decades ago. So they basically took a whole bunch of musicians' work, put it up, had it for free, and they got sued. um, and right now there are a lot of lawsuits. Yeah, there are a lot of lawsuits going on right now against large AI companies, from authors and other creatives. So they got sued, and the decision was that they had to fairly compensate the musicians whose work that they were taking. And so it imagined the landscape. So then from now on, streaming services do have to compensate musicians. They can't just take the work for free, right? So every time someone plays something, and granted, it's a very small amount, it might be, like 0.0001 cent or something, but it's still compensation. And that adds up, I would say. And that is actually, they negotiated it and made it so that maybe both sides weren't happy about it, but both sides, came to an agreement. So I think something similar would be the future for AI, where creatives can get paid. And maybe it's a similar thing. Every time your work is drawn in and used by by the AI company, to create something new, then you get cents on the dollar, maybe. And I think that might be, again, a precedent that could be followed.
All right. Appreciate your feedback, and you are break up a little bit here on show. That's okay. We'll get
Oh,
through it.
sorry.
But thank you so much. No, you're fine. Thank you so much for your time. And before we move on to our next topic, and oh, by the way, before we end the show tonight, we have something that's called a fun Q&A where we're going to find out more about our special guests. And so stay tuned for that. You're going to love it, I promise. Any final thoughts on our AI discussion? What a great discussion it's been. Appreciate the feedback you've given, and that's what I love about our show. You meet artists and done many different things, just like yourself. And any final thoughts on AI?
I guess my final thought is, it's still an evolving landscape. And so there will be people on both sides of the equation. Um, it's generating a lot of emotional reaction, I will say. So some of these discussions
Oh,
can get
nice.
quite heated. So I love having, this was a very refreshing discussion, and I love having it, we can be on opposing sides of the AI use, but we can still talk about it. And I really appreciate that and enjoy that. Because it's something that will, as you said, it's here, and having these discussions is part of the solution, I think.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, how you know if you don't know, right? And how are you gonna talk about something if you don't know about it? And as you're saying, just have a conversation. Accept the feedback, learn from the feedback, and hey, that makes sense. And so yeah, I agree with you, and thank you. That was an awesome conversation. I appreciate that. Let's talk about the new and upcoming authors. Your shoes. What are some of the common mistakes that you see from the up and coming authors? And if so, what are the mistakes you see? And type of feedback could you give them to help them to get to where you are maybe someday soon?
Well, actually, this is a related topic to what we're just talking about. So there's so much
Mhm.
information out there. So we have, like, we've had the internet for a while, but also people giving advice, and AI is now on the scene. So there are so many ways to distract yourself as a new writer. um, my best advice I give to writers these days, because a lot of them feel overwhelmed by the amount of writing advice or platforms or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is to just shut out all the noise. Close your door, turn off your internet, just write. You know the story you want to tell, and it's inside of you, and all you have to do is get it out. Ignore all the noise, all the comparisons, and essentially all the advice, except for mine, right? But um, just sit down and write, and you will find your authentic voice, and you will find what you want to say.
You know, you have a very busy professional life, obviously, and you have a family. You got three daughters, and you have a family. How do you balance that?
Um, frantically. So my daughters are actually all creative also, and I love this. I'm so proud of them. So all of them love to write, love to draw, love to do music, you know. So sometimes it's just mom is going to her office to create her stuff, and one of my daughters might be playing her guitar, you know, in her room. Another one might be drawing a cartoon. Another one's reading a book. So like we sort of understand the creative space together. It's lovely. So we are a creative family together, and I love that balance between being a mom and just being a fellow creative. Very excited to see what my kids produce next.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, what has been one of the biggest rejections, obstacle, or disappointment in your career? How did you attack it, and what did you learn from that situation?
I don't think there's anything that's so big it stands out as like the thing that was so terrible. Um, there is a lot of rejection in this business. So I think it's more of a span of rejections and disappointments, and having to pick yourself up and keep going. I mean, there have been, especially at the beginning of my career, there were some rejections that did make me cry. Like I am happy to admit that. Like, there were times when I was like, I'm never going to write again. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I must be masochistic in some way, right? But you do get that thick skin after a while. You do see it as, well, my story just didn't fit this publisher. Maybe it will fit this other publisher. Because I've been on it on both sides. I run a small press. I know how disheartening it can be to get that rejection. So I try when I'm sending out rejections for my press itself to be, to be sympathetic, to hopefully give them something in return. We often give a lot of feedback, personalized feedback to people that we reject at the press, which takes a lot of time, but to me is worth it. So I don't think that there's anything that will stop me now, hopefully. But it is just developing that thick skin and just realizing that is not personal. It really is what's the best fit for the press, and to just believe in yourself and keep going.
As we wind down our interview this morning, thank you. It was so much fun speaking with you, and we're going to bring it back for part two for sure, but not so fast. How did you and Mickey and Creative Edge, how did you guys get together, and what have they done for your career?
So that's sort of funny. So initially, I was the book reviews editor for a magazine called Bewildering Stories. And so he would contact me, and this is before, I was working with him. He'd contact me and say, "Hey, I have some clients who have some new books out. Would you be interested?" And he had some wonderful books, so I wrote reviews of them. I published them in the magazine. Um, and then years down the road, um, I saw his name on a list of speakers at a conference. I was like, I have to go. I got to meet this guy. I've talked to him so much on email. Um, I'm going to meet him in person. And I did. And I just so happened to have a new project coming out. And we got to talking. He's like, you could get some added publicity for this. I was like, you know what? Sold. Let's work together. So I signed on as his client and I have not looked back and been so happy with him. Like, he gets me on wonderful shows like yours.
Well, you are breaking up a little bit, but we're gonna get through this interview. I promise.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Sorry about
So,
that.
no, no, you're fine. It's such a pleasure to have you on our show. It's now time for hey, let's find out more about Allison McBain. Are you ready? These are quick fired questions, and as I quick fire them off, you have one choice and one choice only. All right, let's do this. Coffee, tea, or something completely different.
Oh, both. I drink both. I love them both.
Okay. Okay. A fantasy castle or science fiction spaceship.
Oh my goodness. I would have to say the castle. Why not? I love castles.
All right. The hero, the villain, or a mysterious character in the background. Who is the winner today?
Oh, the mysterious figure. Always the mysterious figure.
All right. Would you rather meet one of your characters or have one of them meet you?
Hmm. Uh, yeah, maybe meet the character. I think that would be fun. And they would probably be very angry at the torture I've put them through, but
I love it. The book is always better, or sometimes a movie wins. Your choice is.
yeah, I think I'm gonna have
I
to
know
go with
that
the
look
book.
like,
The book
oh,
always has.
he got me on that one. I love this game. Our producers put this together, right? I absolutely love this portion of the show. I mean, this is where we have so much fun. So, all right, I'm up 1-0. Let's see if you can tie it up now. All right. So,
Okay.
if you could live inside any fictional world for 1 week only, which one would you try?
Any fictional world?
She's thinking.
Um, yeah. No, I think, you know what? And I probably would regret this, but I would love to go to Discworld, which is created by Terry Pratchett. Do you know Terry Pratchett's books? Yeah,
I do
because
now.
they are such they're such amazing characters. So it's a huge fantasy world, and they're really, really funny. They're hilarious, but they're not super safe. So I might not even live out the week, but I'd have a great fun while doing it.
I love it. All right. What is the strangest place where you've gotten a great story idea?
Um, I can't think of. So mostly I get my story ideas when I am um in my office. So that's not super strange. I don't know. Like maybe from a dream. Like I think that, most of my dreams I don't remember. So when I had like the odd dream that I did remember, and I was like, oh, that could spark an idea. And it did. It sparked a short story idea. It was very strange to me that my subconscious mind sort of like prodded me there.
So dreams do come true. I love it. All right.
Yeah, I can.
Which is more frightening? All right. So what is more frightening? A blank page or a fast approaching deadline?
Oh, definitely the deadline. Oh, I have no fear of the blank page. I'm one of those writers who do not get writer's block. Like I can write anything anywhere, but yeah, oh, deadlines are scary.
All right. Here's another one. If your life became a novel, what genre would it be?
Oh man. Is there a boring genre? I write stories because those are way
There
more
is
exciting
now.
than my life. Yeah, I don't think it
I love it.
maybe women's fiction, I guess. But yeah, because I have 3 daughters, so that sort of fits into it. But yeah, very boring. I live a very boring life.
That is until you hear the next question, though. This next
Oh, okay.
question fits in perfectly with what you just said. Sit back, relax, hold on tight. We're going for a ride. All right. Which fictional character would make the worst roommate?
Oh man. Um, there's so many. Like I think I'll go with the classic Dracula. Gotta be like that would be a terrible roommate situation. He's up all night, he sleeps during the day, he borrows a little blood once in a while. Not a good situation.
I'm gonna answer this one too. Mine is the Monsters. Do you remember the Monsters, the TV
Yeah,
show, the Monsters? That would be
yes.
mine.
So similar along a similar lines, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. All right. If you could have one library superpower, who would it be?
Oh, one superpower? Um,
Mhm.
I would like to see into the future. I think that would be fun.
Ah, that's a good one.
Um, yeah, because 'cause I'd like to know where this is all going. Right? Because our lives are so short. We don't know, like, but as a student of history, I love to see how things play out. So, yeah, being able to see into the future would be awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. Now I know you love music because you mentioned during the interview your daughters play musical instruments. So next one is for you. All right. What song would you play every time you entered a room?
Um, I'll just go with my favorite song. I'm a huge fan of the Beatles, and my favorite song by them is "I Feel Fine." Um, so, it's just such a happy song, and it's got a great bass line. So yeah, "I Feel Fine" by the Beatles.
Great song. I love it. That's a great song. All right. Name one food you could eat while writing every day. You mentioned you're always in the studio every time, right? So, is there a favorite snack you have?
I'm again along the theme of boring. I love bread. Like it sounds so boring, but but no, like a really wonderful sourdough baguette is just I could eat that every day for the rest of my life. It's so good. So just with like some butter or something. Yeah, very plain but delicious.
All right, I'm going to give you a sandwich you can try. Peanut butter, an overturned egg with peanut butter and strawberry jelly.
Is that like the Elvis special? Like Elvis liked peanut butter. Oh no, he was peanut butter and banana, I think.
Peanut butter, you put banana in there too if you want.
Yeah. No, that
We're
sounds
actually
I would
we'll
definitely
do
try
like
that. I like weird foods.
all right, so do me a favor. If you try it, reach back out to me and let me know if you liked it. Because we're actually for the first time on the Art Spotlight show, you and I are brainstorming together and we're creating a sandwich. The other people who are watching out will be watching later. It's like, hey, wait a minute.
You know what? Maybe my next
All
book will
right.
be a cookbook with
All right.
you. You
Now
never
if
know.
you weren't all right, so if you weren't an author, what would you be doing today?
I'd probably be a teacher, honestly. My original plan way back when was to, teach history. And I always thought that would be fun to do. You get the summers off to write. Um, so yeah, I'd probably be a teacher, I think.
All right. What is one word your family would use to describe you?
Who would use to describe me? Sorry.
Your family. What is one word your family would use to
Oh, my
describe
family.
you?
Um, that's a hard one. Workaholic, maybe? I don't know. It's probably not complimentary.
Oh, this was a family show.
Yeah, I know, right? No. But no, very also maybe Carrie because like, I'm always, talking to them and making sure I know what's going on with them and supporting them in their many creative endeavors. So, we're creative together. So maybe creative.
All right, one final question for you. All right, finish this sentence. A great story must always have a blank.
A great story must always have heart. So it always has to come from a place that is near and dear to you.
All right, I fooled you. I got one more question. Are you ready to come
Okay.
back and visit? Here's one more. All right, are you ready to come back and visit the Artist Spotlight show again?
Oh, definitely. I had so much fun chatting with you today.
Right back at you, my friend. And thank you so much for your time on the show. And we definitely wish you all the best. And what an amazing conversation we've had. And, thanks for the memories. And if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. And we're also going to be there for you. And, thanks for the laughs and the AI conversations and all that good stuff. So, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I so appreciated being here, and it was lovely to chat with you.
And is before we wind, call this a wrap, is there any final thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I guess if you want to learn more about my books, my adventures in fiction, not in my life because I'm very boring, um, you can go to my website, which is AllisonMcBain.com. That's Allison with one L. I always like to say that because otherwise you will go nowhere.
All right. You have a great rest of your day, and thanks for being a great, amazing guest on the Artist Spotlight Show. We enjoyed having you, and you take care of yourself.
Thanks, you too.
All right, Allison McBain in the house, and what a great interview we had with her. Are you an upcoming aspiring artist, an author? Do you have a story to share? If that's you, this spotlight is especially for you. Send your request to info.musicdreamsusa@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from you. Again, our show is being brought to you by Biker Bay Barber and Company, Music Dreams USA Radio Worldwide. We play everything for everyone. And also Table and Mic Production, Nashville, North Carolina. And one of our brand new advertisers, OTW. If you have some work that needs to be done, make sure you reach out to OTW Hauling. Check them out on Facebook and let them know you heard their advertisement right here on the Hour Spotlight Show. It's your friend Russell K. wishing you and yours a very pleasant good day. And we'll catch you here next time on the Art Spotlight Show. Thank you so much for watching.